So my name is Gene. I'm a knife maker here in Utah. Rugged Mountain Blades. I'm going to show you how to make a Santoku today. There's a reason I bought a big thing of water. It's because the mirror braid doesn't have a big enough pan for me. We put soap in that because soap, it won't let the garbage that's on the top of the water stay on the knife when we're grinding. If you look real close, I've already scored the center of this with a scoring tool. I can't remember what it's called. And this is going to help me grind to where I want to grind to. First, we're going to start on a really steep angle and just grind to the line. You can see that in the light. There's little lines right there. We're just going to grind to the line at a really steep angle, and then we're going to progressively move that line back. So it'll come from here to there, and then there to there to there to there, until it gets to where I want it to be. This will be kind of a full grind. We're going to go from like right here to right there. I'll show you how to get into the plunge grind. Oh, this has already been hardened, by the way. I'm going to go show you how to get into the plunge grind. We have a little tool for that, and makes it super easy, but we don't go to the plunge yet. First, we just get all the grinding done, and then we'll go to the plunge, and I'll show you how to do that. It's pretty simple. Okay, so let's get started. As always, hearing protection, eye protection. I find these things work really good. Looks like I listen to a book. And I'm also blind, so we're going to start off kind of a higher rate of speed. This is a brand new belt. A lot of guys tell you to go not sharp belts, but I disagree with that because a sharp belt keeps it nice and cool. So just don't kill yourself. Don't push on it so hard. It's going to take your finger off. Just nice and light. And we're just going to take a couple passes. I might stop and tell you a few things during. All right? All right, keep your blade nice and cool. As you see, we've just gotten a little bit done here. I've gone to that first line. I've got maybe a 32nd of an inch that I'm going to. This is AEBL, so it handles the heat pretty well, but you don't want to overheat it. So this is why we use a sharp belt. I'm just going to keep going for a little bit, and we're going to see how far we can get with this 36 grip belt, and then we're going to switch to a 120. Oh yeah, I kind of do muscle memory stuff, so I don't think about it. As close as you can to your body. You want to use your body instead of your arms. You want to use your body to kind of guide the blade. Your body will not move as easily as your hands and arms will. So nice and sturdy, nice and straight. This is how we grind freehand. Okay, so right here you notice I've started to grind a little bit too much a little more right here than I have right here. So I'm going to straighten that out. I'm going to go from here and kind of super light pressure and then more pressure until I hit that spot right there, just to try and even that out, because I don't want this ever to get too bumpy. So that's super light pressure. I'm not putting any pressure on it at all, not like I'm trying to take a lot of material off. Another thing you can do when you start getting into this a little heavier is where you put your thumb is where you're putting pressure. So if you will need to take more off down here, you'll put your thumb down here. Take more off right here, you'll put your thumb up here. And that's kind of, I'll explain a little more about that later, but we'll just keep going. Okay, you may have noticed I'm using kind of the edge of the blade. This just kind of takes a lot of the surface area off of where you're grinding and lets you hog off a bunch of material. It's kind of a practice thing though, so practice before you start doing a nice knife like this. We haven't really talked about what we want this part to look like. We're getting pretty good on that. I kind of like to have a little curve on these. Kind of depends on what the steel is and what I'm doing with it. This may stay straight, it may stay curved. I'm not sure yet. Kind of let the knife feel for itself. We've gotten pretty close to what we want to do on the 36 grit. Gone past here a little bit. Our plunge is going to be ready to here. So I'm gonna go ahead and start on the other side. Same exact process, just backwards. Okay, now we've gotten to the point we're gonna grind in the plunge grind. So see how I've kind of just messed around with a little bit here and a little bit there. It doesn't look good yet. This kind of looks okay, but it doesn't look good yet. So we're gonna put a file guide on there, and I'll show you how to put the plunge grind in. Okay, so we're gonna take the plunge grind about right here, a little bit of an angle. Now the reason we go on that kind of an angle, you look, this back side of the knife here has a curve, so we're going to put the front part of the handle at also a curve. So this is symmetrical, but this angle right here needs to kind of match that. So sometimes I'll draw it on there, other times I'll not. It's one of the reasons I was holding the blade at such a funky angle while I was grinding, because I knew that eventually this plunge grind was going to be right here. So we're going to take our file guide, this comes from these guys. I actually love this file guide, works really, really well. So I'll tighten one up and I'll move the bottom one in whatever I want. So that's where I want it, right there. Just kind of tighten it and then get it nice and tight. Now what this will do is, this is carbide, and this will not allow me to go any further past that. It'll leave a nice straight plunge grind right there. It will even on both sides and make it super, super easy. Now, instead of going from here out, I'm going from here in. And the reason for that is I'm going into the plunge. I'll start off, here, let me do it this side so you can see better. I'll start off going here to there a couple times and just get it roughed out. And then I'm gonna go from here, light touch, from here in, and then go back. You wanna make sure that your belt is perpendicular, or that right word, with this. Make sure it's nice and flush with that. You don't wanna be up here, don't wanna be back there. Sometimes, that's another knife for another day. So you wanna keep your belt nice and flush to this. We're gonna start, maybe we'll start on that side so you guys can see better. I also turned the power down just a little bit. I'm not going as nearly as fast as I was. A lot of people ask how you get that curve. That's from how far you have the belt hanging over your platen. Right now it's really close, so if I push any harder, that round part will turn flat. it'll just be a square. So I'm gonna, when we move to a 120 belt, it's a little more pliable, so we're gonna have to not have it as close as this is. All right, so you can see now we've got a nice clean plunge grind in here that rounded off just a little more than I wanted it to. But that's okay, we're gonna go through 120 belt and fix that. I've tried to maintain that same thickness all the way down. That's kind of a key. Right now I've gone just to my scribe lines, and with the 120, I'll clean that up a little bit. It'll be smaller. We want to go from 120 to 220, and then we'll use a trizact. At that 220 stage, you want this to be really, really small. Like, I don't know how many thousandths it is. It's like a 64th or less thick. Right now, it's roughly a 32nd. So we're going to change this belt out, and we're going to keep going. Okay, so now we're going to go from 36 to 120. A lot of guys go from 36 to 80, but I prefer going right straight to 120. We're going to refine this edge. So this edge looks pretty good. This one looks pretty wonky. We're going to refine all that. First, I'm going to refine this, and then I'll come back and refine that. And that is all done with just finger placement. So I'll start pushing down here, and then I'll move to pushing up there. Also, one more thing. Some guys have asked me why I don't use gloves. So if you use gloves, you can't feel the heat of the knife. And if it heats up to where you can't touch it, you've just ruined your temper. So I got a little warm right there, and it turned a little bit brown. That's not super bad, but it's not super good. So you want to keep it nice and cool through the whole process. And a lot of that can be done with your hands. If it's too hot to touch, then it's getting too hot. So you want to cool it down in your water with soap in it. That's a little too much soap. I don't really like it that much, but I don't have a choice right now. So we'll just keep going. Gonna hang over that side. So see, we're hanging over now. Something that took me a long time to learn is when you're going on a I'll turn around so you can see it. When you're grinding on a bigger blade, and you usually start pushing right here. I have very little pressure right there, otherwise it'll rock. So start pulling it through, and then I transition from all my weight right here to all my weight right here. So I could basically hold it up like that and just keep moving it. So you're transitioning from a lot of weight to a lot of weight. Not a lot, but more weight here and then more weight there. Scratches right there. Okay, at this point, we're going to take that off. Sometimes I'll take it off between 120 and 220. Sometimes I'll take it off right after 36. See, it's nice and clean, nice and clean. It's gonna match with our handle real nice. And now we can refine this process just a little bit more. I'm gonna do a little bit more on the 120 and then we'll move to 220. Oh, there's one thing I've forgotten to mention. A lot of times when you get knives from Waterjet, there's a kerf right here. And the kerf means it's kind of an angle. When the jet cuts, it doesn't cut perfectly straight. I use this to my advantage, and I'll actually leave this until I put the handle on. And I'll show you why when we do all the hand sanding and stuff. You'll grind to that, and as soon as you hit metal, you know to stop. That way you can hog off a whole bunch and then stop. But that kerf actually helps me. This is not my grinder. Having a little problems with this right here, but we'll refine that. That shouldn't be a problem. Let's keep going. I can fix that a little later. That's what I wanted it to look like. So now we're going to go from 120 to 220. Okay, now we're going to keep going with a 220. We've hit 120. This is a 220 belt. Well, actually, it's a 240 belt, but 220 belt. I'm going to show you a real quick trick to keep a blade hop from happening. I normally have a little block sander, but I don't have it here. So I'm just going to fiddle fart through this. You take this part right here that is that it's seamed together, and that's the part that hops. Just sand it off. Okay, now our blade won't hop on that at all. I want you guys to notice something about this flatten. We are grinding flat and we're wearing here and wearing there. So this whole thing is dished this way and dished this way. Not my grinder. But this platen needs to be replaced because your grinding isn't flat. So you can tell that a lot by the belt. I'm dealing with the best I can. This is a little harder than it looks. Starting to look really good. Really, you could start hand sanding this right now. We're going to go hit a Trizac belt and refine this just a little more. That way it'll make the hand sanding just a little bit easier. Trizact is, even though they've got a seam right there, there's very little blade jump and very good refining tool. So this is technically like a 220 right here, 220, 240. And we're gonna go over the same 220 we just did. And then we're gonna hit, this is a A160, and then we're gonna hit it with an A30. The grits are backwards. It's kind of weird. You look it up on the internet, you can figure it out. Oh yeah, and they whistle. You can see how clean that is just after 2 passes. A little bit work right there to do, but that's nothing. This is easily hand sandable now. Okay, you're going to kind of notice I'm drying this off before I grind anything on it. For some reason, my experience is that Trizact don't like water. So I don't let them, I let the back side be wet, but not the front side. The side I'm grinding, I stay away from it. Also, these burn very, very easy. You can burn this blade so fast. So you just got to go really slow, really light pressure. Don't push. Let it do its thing. You can probably see I've messed up on this side a little bit right here. I'm gonna fix this when I get home because I can't do it on this. I love Ameribraid, but they need new platen. We're gonna switch over to an A30 and keep going. Just one more grit for this. The higher grit you get, the slower this thing should be going. That's about as far as I'm gonna go with this here. You can see I think I grabbed the wrong belt. This one's a little duller than I wanted it to be. You can see how it's shiny here and not shiny there, and it's not hitting. I think that's because of the platen. And the belt's not as sharp as it should be. So I'm gonna continue this process, and we'll do a little video at my shop of the hand sanding process of this. That works, okay? I'll see you there. Okay, back at my shop, we're going to do some hand sanding. This is just Windex. Usually I mix it half and half with water, so it's not complete Windex. Right and wet, stuff's awesome. Just cut it in 4 pieces about that long. This guy I get from KH Daily, and I've used this on every single knife I've ever hand sanded. It comes with these 2 little rubber things I just keep on there, and I love it. It's awesome. Makes it really super easy and it keeps everything flat. And this is just how I do it. You guys can use whatever you want. Always keep it nice and wet. Now here's a little trick. All of our grinding lines are this way right now. We're gonna go against that grain. You'll be able to see when we start. So see all the grind lines right there? All those grind lines need to come out. We're just doing this is just 220 grit sandpaper. The 220 we'll go this way with. Then we'll hit 400 and we'll go that way. And then we'll hit 600 and go that way, and 800 will go that way. We might not go as far as 800 today. Expect to go through a lot of sandpaper. Keep it nice and sharp. Don't try and overuse the same piece. You're just gonna work yourself to death. The cool thing about this process is it's the exact same process used with the Damascus. Any kind of Damascus. You hand sand, you do this exact same thing. Right there, right there, some right here, a little right there. Pretty good. Yes, I'm already on my third piece of sandpaper. So the more you sand, the nicer these knives will look. Don't forget to sand that spot. Again, our grind line goes this way, so we're going to go opposite of that. Some grind lines in there still. You can't see any more grind lines, that's when you're done with that grit. Okay, now we're done with 220. Move on to 400. These are just shop towels from Home Depot. So Rhino Wet doesn't come like this. Rhino Wet comes in full sheets. 11.5 by 7 or whatever. I cut them with one of those big slicer things, and you can buy them like on Amazon for 25 bucks or something, and worth their weight, because you don't have to cut everything by hand. So much faster, cleaner, funner. So I've only stabbed myself twice. It was on the same day. Within 10 minutes, I got both thumbs. That sucked. Now we're on 600. We're only going to go to 600 with this. So I'll go the final grain this way with both of them. So this one I went that way and this way. This grit I'll go this way with all of it. Okay, so this is about as far as we're going to go with this time. I'm going to do the handle next. And I'll do the other side off camera. So there's still a couple little tiny scratches in it, but I go over it again before I glue the handle on. You can see how nice that looks now. Couple little tiny scratches up here, but nothing much. And you can see that it only took me like what, 20 minutes, half an hour to do that. So let's move on to the handle. All right, so now we're gonna saw this guy in half. I just marked it with a red line. I like to use red, it's easy to see. These little Sharpie markers are awesome. And the lids don't taste very good, but that is what it is. This is a battery-powered saw. This is my on device. Okay, now we're gonna go. This is bog oak, by the way. We're gonna go clean these up on the bandsaw, on the grinder. Okay, here's a little trick that makes putting your handle on a little easier. And I did this kind of on purpose to show you. This side is thinner than this side, so if we use our, whatever the crap this thing's called, it doesn't really matter what the measurement is as long as it's the same. But this one is smaller than this one, so now I need to sand more on this side. But if you go around, you need to see where you need to press. So this spot's the biggest, this is the next biggest, this is the next biggest. So I'm going to press right here on the back to get more of that off. So this whole thing is flat. Now the reason this needs to be flat is because when you go on the drill press and start drilling your holes, if it's on an angle a little bit, you're going to have problems and it's not going to be fun. Okay, so now all those are the same all the way around. Exact same spot. Same thing with this one real fast. Even though this one's thinner, it's totally fine. This one looks like it's really good, actually. Okay, so this is actually better than the other one. We're going to use this one to start on our knife. I'm a fan of these little squeeze clamps from Pony. They do everything I need them to do. So I'm going to line this up kind of where I want it, based off of what the grain looks like. I'm going to take our handy dandy red marker again and mark all the way around it. I left a little bit of space, so I'm going to cut on the red line. I'm not going to cut the red line off. And then we'll do the front of the handle later. But while it's on the block, I'm going to go ahead and drill the holes. And I'll show you why. These, we call them a 30-bit. I don't know the exact word. Get them from Fastenal. So they're a double-sided drill bit, and they are just a touch bigger than the size that I need. I usually use an 8-inch pin, and these that we're using today is an 1/8-inch copper pin, and this is the perfect drill bit because it's just a fuzz bigger. It makes it really easy to set it up. Got this all clamped up where we want it. Now, the cool thing about this is we've got a flat edge and a flat edge. So I can line these up wherever I want. So if you had a segmented scale, something that's got a nice spacer in it, this would be the easiest way to do it. Make sure you have a flat edge here and a flat edge there. Since we don't, this is fairly easy. So I only drill partway through one hole to put one of these pins in to hold it really good in one place. I'll take the same pin out and put it back over here because this one's all the way through now. Now instead of taking the clamp off, put another clamp up there, and then take that one off so it doesn't move. So if that ever happens to you where the hole doesn't go through, your drill bit doesn't go through the hole, it means the hole's just not big enough. I ended up cleaning these holes out before I tempered it or quenched it, hardened it, but these two for some reason didn't. They had some stuff in it that didn't work. So this is a solid carbide drill bit. You can get these on Amazon for, they're not that expensive. But a solid carbide drill bit, if you go really slow, will drill through tempered steel, hardened and tempered steel. We're just gonna go really, really slow. I'm going to put our other drill bit back in. Just that much bigger. So minimal. Okay, now all my pins should fit. So now I can take this off. Grab the second scale. We're going to line it up like it's going to go on the knife. This really isn't super necessary with single material scales, but it's still good practice to do. Again, just a partial hole. Second partial hole, all the way through hole, Take your first pin, put it in there, go all the way through this one. Second pin, put it in there, go all the way through this one. This keeps them all nice and straight, so you don't have to mess with the handle when it comes time to put all the pins in. The only drawback to these 30 bits is the cutting part of the drill bit only goes down part way, so you can't just go all the way through. You got to take bites at it. Okay, so we have one more to go all the way through. Okay, all our holes drill all the way through. And remember, excuse me, remember how we marked it before we drilled all the holes in it? We already have that on there. We don't need to set the knife back up again to do it over. So we can go ahead and cut this out at our bandsaw over here. Could have put a couple of these pins in. Two, maybe three. And draw another line. Cut the second one out. All right, now we're going to take the knife and put it back on there. Maybe, wrong side. I'm going to mark the front of the handle. This is just kind of a preference thing. Everybody does this different. I just kind of look at it, trying to match this back side of the handle, because we've got a little curve here, we've got a little curve there, curve here, curve there. So this is going to match out kind of the same way. I'll just mark it. Some of them, if I'm doing a lot, I'll do it different. But in this case, we'll just mark it out by hand. You can see those little marks. So I'll just draw that in by hand. Another little trick is keep your garbage can close. So you notice I'm tossing stuff in the garbage can. As soon as I'm done with it, it goes straight into garbage. I don't have to deal with it anymore. It's all done. Don't let too much junk get all over your shop like this, right? All right, little trick. I shouldn't even need to mark that. I can just cut it. Okay, now this handle is ready to, we're going to shape it before we glue it on. I'm going to do that over the grinder. Go from 36 to 120 to 220, and we'll hand sand the rest of it to 400. Okay, now technically we can glue this on, but I have hand sanding left to do, so we're just going to basically cut this to the size and then do some shaping on it. That way you can see the process that I use for that. It shouldn't take very long. See how that slid on really easy? Because we flattened that out. If it wasn't flat, those wouldn't go in easy at all. Okay, now what we're going to do, this is basically the same exact process that I use for Damascus, because I like to I like to etch the handle, etch the tang. And it makes it just look really, really cool when you do that. So I fit the handle before I sand it. So we're gonna sand this down to the handle and then sand the handle like I normally sand the handle. I'll show you how I do that. This is just 90 degrees to the table, so when you're sitting on here, it's gonna hand sand really nice. Now you remember in the other shop where I told you when you hit the metal, see how this is, remember this is 90. See how it's starting to hit right there and it's not hitting down there? That means this spot right here is good, and I can switch to 120 right there. So we'll keep going until all of it looks like that, and then we'll switch to 120, and that will flatten it right out really nice. Okay, so see how some of this is not sanded all the way through yet? This is. We've gotten most of it really, really nice. So now we're going to switch to 120 and do it all freehand from there. All right, here's a little trick. Get yourself one of these little squares. They make them all kinds of different sizes and shapes and whatever. This is just one I happen to have. I think I got this on Amazon. Make sure this is square, like that. So you see, this is nice and square. Keep this part nice and square, all of it nice and square. That's going to help you in the long run. That's going to make it really, really easy to finish this knife. All right, now for the fun part right here. All right, so this little guy I got from OBM. It's a little rubber wheel. I think it comes in a set of 4, but it's rubber. It's not like the hard metal ones. It makes it just a little pliable and easier to work if you're doing this. And there's a little secret I'll show you to getting those nice. Slow your speed down for this part. Oh yeah. Okay, now I know you're all saying, but this part isn't flat, Gene. It's not going to look good. I'll show you a little trick. All right, so technically, you're supposed to use a scallop belt for this, and I have one, but I don't want to dig it out. So I've cut a 220 belt in half. We're down to 120 on this now. We're going to take this 220 belt, and instead of going this way with it, we're going to go this way right here. Got to be really, really careful you don't catch it on something, because it could fling the knife at you if you're not careful. You see it's really starting to take that 120 scratches out, and it's also, and you notice this is bigger still, and that's fine. It's taking all those 120 scratches out. Keep it moving really, really good. Don't stop it. It's really good. Just clean that right up. You might end up with this part being a little curved, and that's totally fine. One more spot here, one more spot there. It's nice and smooth now. This will be a little curved. It actually feels really good when you hold on to it because it's a kitchen knife. So that little curve in it makes it really, really nice and ergonomic. Okay. Get really close. Okay, so now we've gotten this mostly done. We're gonna sand this side down to what it needs to be. So I'm gonna show you a really cool trick on how to do that. All right, so this is a little trick. I'm basically gonna take my marker and set it on top of this and use it as a guide. And I've made sure it's the same thickness as the scale that's smaller. And I'm just gonna go all the way around this. Make sure we're using the right side. Just gonna go all the way around this and cut that off. So it's a nice little line all the way around. And now it doesn't matter that this was too thick. Actually, it helped me when we were keeping it square. So we're gonna grind this off now. All right, you see how I keep flipping it upside down, right side up, all that other good stuff? If you sand only on one side, inevitably you're gonna sand more on the bottom or on the top. So you gotta flip it over and sand on both sides, not just one. Okay, now these scales are both pretty close to the same thickness. So now we're going to mark the inside right here. Told you these caps taste good, right? For some reason, that's like the place I put my caps when I'm working. All right, so now we're going to shape the handle itself. This part is ground to the tang, and we're gonna have a little thing I'll show you how to make. You don't have to have the exact same tool I do. You can do something a little different. Basically, all you need is something that's gonna keep it at the same angle, and that's really it. I happen to have this little guy right here, which I love, and I kind of keep it set at the angle that I use. Now we're going to take our same marker trick. We're not going to use a block. We're going to go right on this and do the same thing. Go all the way around this. And I'm putting the inside down. So we've got a nice little line all the way around it. You see the line. Same thing to the other one. Now, watch closely. Okay, we're putting the outside of the handle down and the inside of the handle up. You can make whatever you can make to do this. You don't need this little tool. It just makes it easier. The inside of the handle right there is always the tough part. I normally do the best I can with the grinder, and then I'll come back and do the rest hand sanding. Here's something to think about when you're doing these. You can smell it usually when it starts to burn. Don't push so hard that it burns. That's bad for your wood, bad for your belt. Just let up a little bit, let it cool off, and keep going. These are starting to look really, really nice. Now here's the part of this build that you need to kind of make a decision on. How heavy is your knife? So ours, if we put this handle on real fast, it's really a case of how heavy is your material, how heavy is the blade itself, and how much weight are we talking with a handle? So this one is still just a little bit handle heavy. Its balance point is pretty close. I'm going to take a little bit more out of this. So I'm going to take this handle and take a little bit more material out of it, and I'll show you how I do that. This is the fun part, by the way. Same 1-inch rubber wheel. Just because of how hard this material is, usually I only use a 120, but since this material is fairly hard, I'm going to use a 36 first, and then go to a 120. So basically what we're going to do is put a fuller down the entire length of this and make it kind of concave. And what that's going to do is it's going to take a little bit of weight out of this. It's going to give you a little bit of gripability with it, and I just think it looks cool. Sorry, that looks really cool. Okay. Now we're to the point we need to finish hand sanding this side, which I'll probably do off camera. And then we'll hand sand this. We'll make sure these edges are broken really nice. We'll glue the whole thing together. And we'll final sand it by hand. And then we'll buff it on the buffing wheel. There you go. All right, so we have both sides sanded to 600 grit. About ready to glue on the handle. I usually take just a little bit of this ye old shop towel and wrap it up in that. Just like that. Grab some tape. I just use electrical tape. I mean, it doesn't really matter. This really does a good job of protecting the blade, especially if you're doing the Damascus. And then we'll just take a pair of scissors. Fold it over so you can see where your blade is. And cut it off. If you have a vise, actually love this vise. Stick it in the vise. It makes it super, super easy. If I can get it in there. Doesn't need to go on all the way. All right, here's a couple little tricks. Make things super easy for you. Clamp it on there really good. Now, if this is Damascus, I would have sanded all of this, all of the tang everywhere it was at, and hand sanded it all, make it all nice and pretty, and I would actually etch the tang. But in this case, we're not going to be doing that. So what we'll do is we'll take a little bit of wax. Works really good if it's nice and goopy, but mine's not because it's a little cold. Take some of that off. Just get a little bit of wax, and I've actually sanded this part already. Made sure it's nice and polished up. So I can't get to that spot when we're done. So that spot has been polished. You take this, go right up next to that, and this keeps your Keeps your epoxy from sticking to the blade or the handle. Now I put clamps on there so it's nice and clamped down, not going to go anywhere. I'll take these off now. You will see a nice line where that's at. So you can see that nice little line right there. And it's soaked into that just a little bit, and that's fine. I'll take a little bit of, this is how I do it. This is just denatured alcohol. You can use like anything you want, really. I used to finish wood a lot for my job, so used a lot of lacquer thinner. And then clean this off really good. Maybe transfer you over there so you can see what I'm doing. This is a little more difficult if it's Damascus because you're going to have goop all the way around this, and it's going to be a little harder. So you'll have all the goop around here, your wax, and that will, so you won't be able to touch it really right there. And this is a little easier, but you kind of get the point. Okay, next step is gluing. Okay, I'm going to encourage everybody to do something when they glue stuff. These little things you can get, the little mica powder, you can get them on Amazon for pretty cheap. You can get them with all kinds of different colors. I've ended up getting 2 sets. I use a lot of black, so I got a big black one. I use quite a bit of white, got a white one. And I actually have silver. So get these. These are nice. And then you can get these little cups. They're little, I don't know, 30 milliliter cups. And it comes with all the mixing sticks you'd need. These are, I think, $10 for 300 of them or 200 of them or something. It's just kind of silly, stupid not to. But this one, I'm just going to use a little bit of black. Usually I would take and try and match whatever color. In fact, maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do that just for the fun of it. So we'll take a little bit of our denatured alcohol again, and we're going to look at what color this is. So it's going to be a dark brown. So we're going to try and match that. It's not quite dark enough. That's purple. That's pretty close right there. So we'll take just a little bit of this powder. You don't need very much. Just a little bit, like that much. Get the lid back on. All right, here's a little trick. If it's cold, right now it's 62 in my shop, which isn't super warm, super cold, but it's not really super good for the glue. So you stick it in your pocket. Stick it in your pocket, and it loosens it up just enough. Stuff is still just a little bit too cold, but it'll still work. I'm a fan of the 5-minute epoxy, but you guys can use whatever you want. I do use G-Flex when I'm gluing any metal to wood. The bubble out of there. And I just use this Bob Smith Industries stuff. Mix it up really good. This is the spot where you can get a little bit messy. So you can see that's a different color now. That's not clear. You can make almost any color you want. Just glob it on there. In this case, we're using copper pins. So the reason we go brown is because this is one of the colors. So if you're doing a lot of black, try and get a little bit of that on there. Doing a lot of black, use black epoxy. If you're using white, use white epoxy, like the different colors on your scales. I'm gonna spin these around. So I did something I normally don't do. I only cleaned up one side of these and I didn't do the other side. So normally I'll do both. You want to get just a little bit of glue in there, and then you're going to get dirty. So keep your rag nearby, clean your fingers off. The other one. So what the brown or the color will do is if you accidentally have a little spot you didn't see, it'll cover that up. Just makes it just a touch easier to work. Sometimes they don't like to go in. Maybe because it's not very wet enough. In that case, I just take a clamp and hit it. It usually goes right in. So here's a little trick. You got to make sure both sides of that pin is out. I didn't do that once and messed up a knife, the whole thing, because of one little stupid mistake. So make sure your pins are sticking out both sides. That one's almost not. And then just throw some clamps on it. Let it dry. I normally don't use anything other than squeeze clamps, and I'll tell you why. Because when you put too much pressure on something, it'll squeeze all your glue out. And you don't want to squeeze all your glue out. So just put a fair amount. And these little things are like 20 bucks or 30 bucks on Amazon. Little pony. I really like these things. Just get 3 or 4 or 5, 6, whatever on there. And see how well they're used. They do take quite a bit of pressure. Move that down to the bottom. Maybe one more. Yeah, that's all good. Okay, well, let this dry up and I'll show you the next step. All right, so keep this little thing close, and when you're, this is kind of your test. See how hard it is. Just poke your finger on there. If it's starting to get hard, that's good. I don't let it get all the way as hard as it can get before I'll take this stuff off. Just grab a little used knife here, used a utility knife. Just kind of poke at this and grab it, and it'll just kind of peel right off. There you go. To the other side. If you wait until it's too hard, it'll come off in pieces, which is still fine too, but I like to wait until just the perfect time. And that way, this spot where the handle touches the blade is in perfect shape. Anyway, we'll let this dry a little bit longer, and then we'll sand up the handle, polish it, and we'll be done.